Welcome. Here we are, back on, and it turns out that it's 8:08. So welcome to come explore with me what we might discover as we look at meditation and mindset and how those two are related, how those two intertwine, how those two affect each other. And it's going to be fun. And of course, this is always coming from my growing yoga therapy perspective and practices, both as someone who I'm always playing with my own energies and how to enjoy my life more and how to feel better and be in even more radiant health and feelings of alignment and enjoying now. And then I do get to work with and help others through the various things I do and create, helping others to feel better and love life and tune into how perspective and practice is what it comes down to for a lot of us in a tangible way of approaching how we can feel, how we can function, and how we can enjoy this life, how we can handle our stuff as it comes up, and how we can smooth out the ride, let it be even more of our own unique experience, and learning to let it be about more and more of our own guidance and trusting that we have the answers within and the guidance around us and support. And it's all about our focus and attention and awareness. So these are some of the fundamentals of this perspective. And it really, I love to help you personalize it all and own that it's up to you. Really, it comes down to you each day and even each moment, how you're weaving in your perspectives and your practices to just help you interpret your now, experience your now, create your now even more toward what you do want. So it's all about empowerment and helping you see that you can be the one who's tuning in and tuning up, and even just making it about how you feel is some of the simplicity of this. And we keep getting into why that's such a great idea for the body, for the mind, for the spiritual perspective, for enjoying our reality and our relationships. So, yeah, important stuff. Empowering, healing, transformative, and yet simple and everyday. And a place for you to be creative as well. That you also might be someone who doesn't want to feel like this is about discipline or more routine, and that you want to be feeling really more free and creative and intuitive and playful. And so I love sharing how use of these perspectives and practices can be part of that approach to life and ourselves and our moments and our stuff. So this comes from my leading edge, loving edge experience, and I'm just happy to share what comes out. So I'm hopeful to bring you some ways of understanding how you can use meditation and how you can refine your mindset and see how those two are related in your life and how you can use those, especially from a more like what you could call yogi perspective, but it's also a way of being even that's pretty universal amongst lots of cool approaches and practices and schools of thought and philosophies. So you get to own it and personalize it And so, yeah, I'm just here to fill up your toolbox even more, bring you some ways of looking at it, some ways of doing it that might enhance what you're already doing. So thank you for coming here and taking your precious time. Although part of embracing this perspective is that you can start to own what you have time for and stop hearing yourself say, I don't have time for the things I really want to be doing or looking at or reading or people I want to be with, and that you also are the owner of your time and your choices. So for you to make time for this is a big deal, and it shows me your level of readiness. And yeah, part of yoga and meditation and these practices is a lot of continual study and continually learning and reading. And nowadays it can mean like listening to YouTubes from various authors and teachings that just inspire you. And that's cool too, that you can even personalize your self-study. But do know that self-study and adding to your understanding is part of a yoga way of life and exploring meditation. And so that may be, again, through things you're reading, through things you're listening to, through people you're learning from in various ways, and also other tools you use as part of your yoga therapy, like writing, like walking, like lots of things, like running, like a game of golf, like being in nature. There's so many things, and that's what we'll bring into this talk for sure, is that looking at something like meditation in a lot more clear and even broad way helps us own how we can be using meditation really all day long. And so it's not something that we have to start making time for. That instead it becomes a way that we are within our time. So it's fun. We're going down the rabbit hole. And as always, you're invited to bring your cup of water or tea or coffee or something to our talks with you. So bring it on over and let's take a mindful sip as part of our tuning into right now, tuning up. And I have a little DJ Drez in the background. I think I can do that if I mention that it's him and maybe post that on the description. So we'll try it. I've been hesitant to add any music because I wasn't sure what the legalities were, but DJ Drez is awesome. This is from one of his releases called 4 a.m. I think, Slum Moods, something like that. So check it. And actually I'm going to click on the song called Still in Time, because that's one piece of how we can play with some of what we get from meditation. So to prepare ourselves to enjoy this more, let's shift our mindset already by bringing our attention more here and now. Through the senses can be a nice way. So checking out with the eyes and the vision what you see right now, bringing you under unique right now, taking time to look around, and just let that be some of what your attention's going to now. So now it's about harnessing your attention is what starts to get us knowing we're in a practice mode maybe. So now we're going to use the eyes, so as the senses, to like bringing the attention to just here and now, and something to do with the mind. And then with the hearing, listen to the sounds around you. Of course, the sound of my voice. And then maybe hearing other sounds. And again, just notice how that's putting your attention somewhere and changing your experience. These are some of the tools of meditation. So checking out the sights more, taking in the sounds more, and then getting into noticing more how you're feeling right now. So bringing your attention a little more inward. And I can also mention there are other ways to use the sensations even along the way, like feeling the chair underneath you and the air on your skin. So just noticing how sensation is a focus tool and how sense and sensation are some yogi tools that are part of meditation. To start to bring the mind into right now, which we'll talk about why we do that if we needed to get into it. If you weren't already convinced of the benefit of coming into right now. And then part of a yogi meditative way of being is being more feeling oriented. Knowing those feelings are going to be guidance about how we're doing with the thinking, with the focus, with the energy. And then that our job can always be about helping ourselves feel a little better right now. We've talked about that on previous shows, why it's a good idea to feel better now. But that's part of what meditation gives us a chance to do. So right now, come into just noticing more how you're feeling on the inside. What's the body feeling like? Are there any places that are calling your attention? And this is where we start to love that yoga meditation teaches us that it's all energy, all just an indicator of maybe some misalignments in some ways that you can remedy with your practices. So just tuning into how you are feeling, how you're holding yourself right now. And then a starter power tool is to start to relax. So right now, let's invite you and me to relax more right where we're at. And so I love a great way to start is to just try focusing on relaxing face and jaw a lot. Play with that. Soften those muscles all around the eyes, all around the cheeks, all around the jaw. Really, really, really relax those muscles. And it turns out that sends like a domino effect of the relaxation response down the rest of the body. So every time you relax your face and jaw, the rest of you gets a signal to relax more. And then see if you can play with that and let your body just soften and relax more. What can you just soften and relax away? What of that tension and tightness is just you holding on out of habit, out of old stuck energy? And that's where you can like go in with your practices, go in after some of that stuck energy you might be noticing. But what can you just soften and start to relax right now? And coming into some stillness is a big tool. You might be noticing stillness is starting to get some talk. And especially in this day and age, stillness is pretty radical, isn't it? Don't you feel radical when you let yourself be still? It's like, oh, I'm letting, like even to say it like that, it's a luxury. But I think it's pretty important for us as humans to have stillness along with all the motion and movement. As much as I love motion and movement, stillness is super powerful. So right now, let yourself get more still and relaxed. So not holding ourselves still, but more easing into being still and relaxed. And maybe even noticing that you're like letting some stuff go, and you could even already add some imagination. That's another power tool of these methods, of just seeing and feeling how you're like letting go of stuck energy, tension, and just see it and feel it maybe like moving off your body, maybe draining down into the earth or something else. But to just add that example of using imagination. So now notice how you feel just from those changes. More tuned in. And then you could start to play with like, we're here now observing more. Getting into that, feeling more like a witness to it all. Like you're watching the waterfall of thoughts as thoughts do roll through. So you just start to notice like, oh, that's on my mind. And then starting to feel a little more empowered with the attention and able to bring the attention more into right now when you want to, through some of the things like sound, sensation, relaxing, and some of the tools we can play with like breath and posture and sound. Did I say sound? I said sound, but even the sounds, whether you're listening to sounds around you or intentionally playing with an instrument or listening to a song, those are some of the ways sound can be part of your meditation practice, your feeling better tools. So right now, we're just kind of noticing where we're starting from. And so meditation and mindset, really, when we look at the word meditation, meditation really just means to focus our attention on something. And so you start to see that anything can be a meditation. And really all day long, we're meditating on various things in various ways. So this is another example of like, it's just about us owning it. Owning that we're meditating all day long anyway. So meditation meaning, what are we focusing on? Where's our attention? Where's the awareness? How's the awareness doing? And then how much that can change our experience and change what's happening in the mindset. And so mindset might be something like attitude. And mindset, yes, I think is about how we're handling our lives and ourselves and our stuff. And so, yeah, how can we bring meditation into our mindset? And how can we have a mindset that's more meditative, learning from meditation? And how does that translate into our everyday life and how we're choosing to use our attention, how we're handling our mind, how we're handling our emotions, and how we're handling our bodies. And then if we want to be feeling more spiritually connected, that's, I think, a big reason a lot of this stuff has been developed in search of, in seeking of more feelings of union and connection, right? That's what yoga means, remember? Yoga means union. So remember, yoga is anything that brings you union, or feelings of joining or alignment. So yes, there are things like the postures, the exercises that are part of yoga that have become a tool that you can use as a form of meditation, as a place to create more yoga, more union for the mind, the body, and you with spirit. But the poses aren't the only thing. You know, I always reminded that as much as I love and use those therapeutic poses. And the therapeutic poses do help with the mind a lot, too. It's really interesting that when the body is severely out of alignment with various stuff and energy, it does affect how the mind feels. It's harder for the mind to feel at ease when the body is real out of alignment and energy flows real stuck and constricted or out of whack. And then likely, you know, you're feeling that when that happens. I know I have, you know, and that's where it's cool that you read symptoms as an indicator. And that's part of the meditative mindset. Just even how you're interpreting things like symptoms in the body, or just feelings of restlessness in the mind, or grumpiness, or even we start to see how even looking at when we're having trouble in relationships, that this becomes about our practices as we start to really own it all and how our vibe and how we're feeling is creating it all. So yes, our mindset and our use of meditation and our meditative mindset is how we can start to be more tuned in, more tuned up more of the time, and more vibing into the experiences we want with those we love and those we're going to meet, the opportunities that come. So it still comes down to each day within ourselves, what we're choosing, what we're using, how we're approaching it all. And so you could say we can become more in a meditative mindset more of the day with ourselves. And this is where you see some of the psychology of yoga. That if we're interested in our minds and what's happening there, and if we're misusing the mind, or if we're having feelings and emotions that aren't feeling so good, or we're just interested in like how can we feel better, this becomes a great way. The meditative mindset becomes the psychology we use with ourselves, and that's where I always love to share the big news. Like yoga is not so much a system of exercises as it's a system of psychology. So this is where you see it, that it becomes the way we're handling ourselves, the way we're handling our minds, and the way we're handling our realities and our relationships through our mindset, our use of things like meditation, and realizing again that really we're meditating all day long, and what are we choosing to meditate on, and how is that filling us up or not? How is that helping us align or not? How is that part of our union or not? So that's where some of that choosing of the time, of the attention, that's like, it really boils down to that a lot. Choosing that we, wherever we're at within anything, we have the choice with our attention. We can always harness the attention. And you could say slip back into that meditative mindset that's going to help you look at wherever you're at and feel your way through and find your way to just feeling better and more clear and more of how unique you want to feel and be. So it's very cool that all of this is geared towards helping you tune in more and enjoy the ride. So some of what we learned from meditation that we can bring into the mindset is what I want to cover next. And so just some of what we learned from meditation. And again, remember, meditation, yes, there's a whole bunch of different schools of meditation now teaching all sorts of styles of meditation. I don't even know how many styles, which is really neat. And so, but even for me, it took me a long time to feel like I understood what meditation was. Like, to be able to describe it or to try to teach it, really. It was like, whoa, there's so much to it. Like, there's so many different ways. And then, yeah, when you start to really see that meditation is really just about what we're putting our attention on, I started to realize that meditation is more of an approach and a way within our moments and a mindset. So I've even boiled it down to 4 basic pieces of what we're doing with meditation. So I'll talk about that in a moment. But 2 important things that we learn from all the practices of meditation, I think. That again, this is how we bring this into our way of being. But a meditative mind, our way of being, would include getting into more of a place of, first of all, being more of an observer of it all, and even of yourself, and even of the thoughts and the feelings and of even what's happening in your life, and more of like a neutral observer. And here's the second piece, is non-judgment. And I was just rereading some Deepak lately, and he was talking about non-judgment. And one of the big reasons he used it too is because judgment, when we're deciding whether something's good or bad or right or wrong, that's often what's getting the mind so busy and out of whack. And he calls it like creating internal turbulence in the mind, in the dialogue of the mind. And so this is some of the reason that we use things like meditation and how this mindset. But the non-judgment is a big piece. That more and more, especially to be in a meditative mode. So you can say this is when you're sitting on your meditation pillow, when you're in your posture, when you're feeling like you're practicing, or just how you're handling yourself all day long. Meditation includes this being more of an observer with yourself and being more in non-judgment. So you can also see, though, if you can start to do this more in your daily life, in your mind all day long, just becoming more of an observer of what's happening, even with the thoughts, the feelings, the reality, with the non-judgment. And so some of what we get a chance to do with this leads us into the 4 steps, the 4 pieces of a meditative mind, as I see it, a meditative approach. So, yeah, the first one really is that we start to become in just observing mind. We get a chance to just observe mind more. So that's the first thing we're going to do in anything that feels like meditation. So maybe even when you're washing dishes, if washing dishes was the meditation, you could just be more in a place of observing the mind and just watching as thoughts roll through. But then second, playing with quieting the mind. And so this is where a lot of these tools come up. It's just different ways to quiet that mind and bring us into right now more. Because that's part of the thoughts, is they often carry us out of the now. And they also might be thoughts that may be thinking about things that we don't want, worrying, thoughts that don't feel good. So that's part of what we can see when we're doing the observing. This is where some of the psychology with yourself comes in, that you're getting a chance to observe more how you're thinking, and you're still also getting a chance to observe more how you're feeling, and then starting to see more how those two are linked. And now you're also like knowing, ooh, it could be a good idea to just like quiet that mind more, as a way to, one, give your mind a little break, to slow down the momentum of the thought, especially if it's a negative momentum, bad feeling stream of thoughts. To just simply quiet that mind is going to be a great way to shift the mind and give it some space, literally. So that's where many things that we do can be meditation for us, and a chance for us to do that. So especially like a conversation with a person is definitely a meditation. And the more that you enjoy it that way. So yes, even when you're in that conversation, you're observing the mind, just watching as thoughts roll through in that non-judgment, and even observing what's happening in the conversation with that non-judgment. And, oh, here's some pieces too that we're doing more listening and feeling, like we talked about earlier. So even in the conversation, part of being here and now in the meditation with your awareness and attention, you're listening and feeling more. Then even in your mind, while you're there, you're watching as thoughts roll through as the observer in that non-judgment. And then you're playing with quieting your mind, and maybe you're quieting your mind by listening to your friend instead of listening to yourself. Or you're quieting your mind by listening to a song, or by doing a yoga pose that really requires your focus and attention. This is where a lot of people really like certain, maybe some of the hardcore yoga poses that feel really challenging and hard, that take intense focus and feel like challenge. Some people love that because it's the best way for them personally to quiet that mind and really feel here and now and change that momentum. So that's cool that you can use it like that. Or it may be like a super restful pose for you that does it, that helps you really get into some shift of the attention, the awareness, and the momentum. So we're observing mind. That's the first piece. We're starting to play with quieting mind and just the possibility that we can do that. And now I've noticed that this might just mean 5 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, which will feel like a big deal if you can have quiet mind for that long. And then we'll get into some next pieces, but yeah, I think it's just valuable to see that quieting mind for even 5 or 10 seconds is a big deal. But we can play with how much longer we can hold that gently, lovingly, with ease. And that's where it can be a lot about just getting into our moments more, letting our moments soak us up with our attention and our focus in that observing, non-judging place. So being just present is a really strong meditation. But while you're there, you're observing mind with that non-judgment. And then you're practicing quieting mind with the various tools you start to learn. And that's where also even reading a book can be a really great way to quiet your mind, or listen to someone else talk. Or, you probably know you have your ways that get you feeling more here and now. So we're observing mind, we're quieting mind. And then the third piece is we can start to play with, well, there's going to be 2 more pieces. So the third one is we can start to play with redirecting mind too. And that's where things like these affirmations and mantras, and also just the power of imagining what we do want more. Imagination is a super huge, cool tool. And it turns out it's another one of those things that we're imagining. We are using it all day long anyways. I'm pretty sure all of us are imagining all day long anyways what we think is going to happen, and how much of that is probably creating what does happen. So that's a big yogi perspective tool that you could say is part of your meditative mind, that you're using your imagination as part of your redirect for your mind, and part of your mindset focus. So you could use your imagination to quiet your mind by picturing a clear blue sky there instead. Picture a clear blue sky in your mind as a way to quiet your mind. So that's a way you use imagination to help. Or another one I like is, imagine you could windshield wipe the mind now and then, just like a clear your mind, quiet your mind, or wipe the board. Another friend told me she liked that analogy. So observing mind more, quieting mind more, redirecting mind gently, and not too quick, too fast. But yes, this becomes about our self-talk. This becomes about our focus, our attention. This is where things like gratitude and appreciation come in. But that's a real big way to redirect mind and to make sure our mindset is where we want. Because the more we start just thinking about focusing on what we're appreciative of in our lives in this moment, in whatever situation, and then even like what we love about this person, about the situation, about ourselves. So when we're in the places of appreciation and love, this is part of the redirect. And also part of the next piece, which is connecting mind. So another big reason a lot of us come to this stuff is we're interested in feeling more connected through our minds to something that feels more like spirit, or like our higher self, or the universe, or our ancestors, or angels, or God, or whatever our words are for it. And maybe just also like more in the flow with energy that's coming to us and through us, maybe source energy, or maybe just like being really tuned into our highest self, our most aligned self. So that's where connecting mind becomes the fourth piece of what we can do in meditation, and then what we can be doing in our mindset all day long is we can be watching the mind, that observing mind. We can be quieting mind more often. And this is where a lot of teachers say that it is in the quiet mind that we might start to feel more connected. And this also, so thought, maybe as we quiet down those thoughts, especially the not so feeling good thoughts, it's often in that quiet space that we're going to feel more of those feelings of connection with our spiritual self and spiritual support, spiritual guidance, spiritual life, spirit in everything. But also part of the redirect and aligning with those energies is being in the redirected mind toward focusing toward things that we love and appreciation. A lot of teachers say that those are the energies that things like spirit reside in more. So another good reason to redirect ourselves again and again back into that place of appreciation and love is that's going to get us more in the vibration that's similar to those highest parts of us and highest guidance around us and within us. So part of that redirect of the mind, part of the reason we do that, and part of the quiet of the mind, both those are getting us closer to a connected mind. So, and then what's so cool is we realize that thought is not just a demon or an enemy, but thought becomes more a part of our connection. And then the thoughts that start to roll through that even feel better are likely feeling better because they're a lot more aligned to that higher, wiser part of us and to our guidance and even to infinite mind and infinite guidance. So as we get better at becoming the observer of the mind, the quieter of the mind, the redirector of the mind towards what feels better. And that's where it's so cool that the feelings are there. I've really understood this now from all my studies, that the feelings are there as our guidance. So part of looking at observing, part of that observing is we're learning a lot, just a lot about how we're doing, how we have been doing with that in non-judgment, just a place to start from. And then we can go right after it with our practices. And a lot of it involves the mindset. And so yes, again, you might include things that are more like postures and movement and other things beyond just mindset. But you can bring that mindset to all those practices. That you just become more of the observer of the mind. You become more willing to quiet your mind now and then, especially when you notice you're not feeling good. And you have various tools to quiet that mind, right? Your favorite song, your favorite person, a tree across the way, something beautiful in your house. So quieting the mind, we've got observing the mind, quieting the mind, redirecting the mind, and then playing with connecting mind. And so this is all part of how a meditative mindset becomes our way throughout the day. There's a little rhyme. You get that? So really, you can do this when you're doing things that feel like the old-fashioned concepts of meditation, let's say. So yes, sitting on a pillow is delightful. So keep doing that. Or start doing that more. For 1 minute even, though, is really cool. Like I find if I sit on my meditation pillow for like 1 to 5 minutes, it's a really cool big deal in today's day and age. So if you want to bring meditation into your life that looks more like that, or laying down flat on the floor, or what I love even more for a lot of us is adding in some of those postures as part of your meditation. Because if you're having a hard time enjoying this more meditative way, it may be that the body's a little out of sorts in some various ways. And so, I mean, I use my postures every day that are personalized to my body and my energy and stuff that I'm continuing to keep clear. And it really help to get things in order in the bod. So I'm always here to help you with that, but also to help you see how your mindset is such a big piece of it. And even what you bring to any movement stuff you do decide to do. And you can turn anything, realize that everything is a meditation. So really, you are meditating all day long already. So you might as well start choosing your meditations more. And this is part of your mindset, that you realize that meditation is a way of being, and that all day long you're meditating, and that you're actually choosing the meditation. And so you're deciding where your attention is. You're bringing your attention back when you notice it's drifted into something, again, that doesn't feel so good. That's where those feelings can be your guidance. You don't have to feel like you're watching the mind so diligently, but just let yourself be a little more feeling-based as part of your meditative life, your meditative mindset, that you're more tuned in within. You're more remembering to bring your attention here and now more. You're more in that place of an observer more of the day with yourself and with life, and in that place of non-judgment, playing with that, the power of that. You're using things like imagination as a power tool, both to clear and quiet that mind, but also to focus, to imagine what you do want. And that's where your feelings will tell you if you're not feeling great. Take a look at imagination. What have you been imagining? And it's nice that as you start to feel better, as you quiet that mind, it gets easier to imagine more what we do want, and to even start to build that belief that that desire can be followed. And that seems like that'll be future broadcasts. So it's really awesome stuff. I'm so excited about how we learn that we're managing our energy with all of this, that we're understanding more how we can handle our minds and our mindset. And yeah, really how whatever form of meditations we're using, if we want to play with all the various ways people have gotten creative out there with, there's lots of guided meditations that help you go through using imagination or story or music or various ways. So if that turns you on, go for it. And you can also start to realize that all day long you can be in more of a meditative mind, observing, listening, feeling, getting that reminder to relax more into where you're at. That's going to help. And even playing with how adding things like a slow belly breath helps everything. And longer exhales. But that's where it's cool, is part of as you're becoming more of the observer and starting to see what's happening, you start to gather your tools to feel better. You start to learn more about how to use breath, how to use postures, how to use other things, maybe like writing, to tune it up, feel even better. And again, it's really awesome that as we're tuned up more, feeling better, getting the energy more flowing, and more able to be here and now in that connected, aligned state. The creations are pretty brilliant. The thoughts are really fun. The imaginings are powerful. And our effect on others is totally great, because generally we're in that place more of love and appreciation. So there's lots of great tools that come into our meditation mindset approach. And again, you get to personalize what's part of your unique shine tools. Shining it up each day. Going in, taking a look with that non-judgment. letting go of what you can just consciously dust away with the relaxing and then breathing and the quieting, the stillness. And then just playing with how you can start to redirect mind through imagination, through attention, awareness. And through just being more feeling oriented, trusting those feelings as guidance, and that it's your job to just feel better now to help raise your vibe into that. And that, yes, that might involve some quieting and some stillness and or some motion. But it's a lot about you just tuning more into you right now. So letting that quiet help you, letting the sensations, the listening, the feeling, the relaxing, the smiling, and all the other tools that might be part of your repertoire toward union, more alignment, more feeling how you want to feel. So it's pretty great news that we can own these practices and approaches and let them be pretty simple and everyday and really personal toward who we are, what works for us. And I love that I think it does boil down to just doing more of what we love. And the more that we bring that mindset of attention, awareness, being here now, soaking up our now as a really huge tool and the hugest priority. The reason to do it all. To really feel totally clear and present and enjoying right now in whatever ways, whether it's within us or around us. And even being able to do that through stuff around us that doesn't feel so good, like being able to still harness our attention and our focus and our awareness and use that non-judgment. And then, yeah, how it's our response to our ailments, to our little symptoms of imbalance, to our yucky feelings, can often just mean we need more quiet, more stillness, or more just ways of tuning into you and shifting that mindset back toward the non-judgmental observer. And that's where it's like a coming back with the attention. As part of the attention either. Again, as part of the attention too is you're bringing the attention. You're really owning the attention from moment to moment more. And again, through those feelings is a really great, easy way to just. And so when you're feeling good, just like ride that and keep growing that. And then when you're feeling bad, take a look, start to use some of these tools. Get into more of the observer, the non-judgment, the relaxing, the quieting, the listening, the feeling. And then using some ways to tune it up for yourself. Get yourself more aligned. Shift what you're focusing on. Shift what you're thinking about. And yeah, so that's where sometimes just quieting the mind or even redirecting the mind, and sometimes something like a Netflix show may be just the same. It makes you feel good, especially. Just trust those feelings. And this is where it also boils down to being able to live a life more of following what feels right for us from moment to moment. And how that might be the way that we actually benefit others the most. How cool is that? So, there's an hour. Super easy peasy. And thanks for learning with me today. Thanks for dipping in to meditation and mindset and how we can play with that, use that, own that, play with that, and keep exploring that. I super appreciate you being here. All the way to the end. That's pretty awesome. And for me, this just feels good, like a blank canvas I get to share with you what's coming out of me, what I want to give and share from my understanding and experience and what's working for me in loving life, feeling good, getting more clear and connected in the mind, in the body, and in my reality. So, notes from the field, just for you. Thanks for playing with me, and check out other episodes if you like what you're getting here, and definitely subscribe so you can stay posted for new stuff. All right. Until we meet again, namaste, my friends, and adios.